welcome back. We're going to break down SK Gaming's win over the Copenhagen Wolves here with Joe and QuickShot. First thing I want to talk about is the team comps. To me, the Copenhagen Wolves comp reminded me a lot of what they did yesterday in the first game. Quite squishy.
Yeah, the core elements are the same in terms of the support, the Yasuo, as well as the Lulu top. They swapped out the Yorick and the Kog'Maw for something a little more standard with the Lee Sin and the Lucian. But unfortunately, Graves rather, but unfortunately, it didn't matter. Copenhagen Wolves never got to a point where they could get their team to synergize. They never got to a point where their team fights mattered because they just fell behind after the laning phase had ended.
I'm still not sure about the Lulu pick either for Youngbuck. I think that when we were discussing this yesterday, that Youngbuck's champion pool and what he specializes in are those bruisers. Now, that fits perfectly in the meta right now, and I'm not sure why they're almost trying to crowbar the Lulu into it, where it's, for me, obvious that he could perform better, in my opinion, on something like Trundle, Shyvana.
Very good point. And then once we got into the game, though, both teams seem to have a very clear idea of what they're supposed to do in that early game when it comes to strategic decisions.
So the first thing to note is that this is the first game Copenhagen Wolves have not gotten an advantage from lane swaps. Deficio was very, very adamant that Youngbuck pushing out the wave at level 1 was a massive mistake. He got ganked, he lost his flash. It gave Candypan a lot of freedom to play with. And that set things in motion. The thing is, SK Gaming traded blow for blow. They traded towers, they repositioned correctly, and it's the first team that's been able to hold Copenhagen Wolves back. We mentioned earlier today when Copenhagen Wolves were playing against Millennium that they could create an advantage, but then they couldn't hold on to it. Now they couldn't even create one against SK, who in my mind is probably one of the smartest strategic teams in the European LCS.
That game was, I mean, Deficio said it himself, won and lost really right at the very start of it, because once that kind of team starts getting rolling, well, we saw by the scoreboard at the end that you just don't stop. I think 23, 24 minutes game, and it was a steamroll after those mistakes were made.
Absolutely, and we have a very good example of that is when it came to team fights, SK was just too far ahead for the Copenhagen Wolves. You can pull that replay up on the screen. I think it's around the Wolves area. If it goes up on the screen, it doesn't. It was very convincing, Trevor.
It was very convincing. So this is the replay. 16 minutes in, 6,000 gold lead already. 4 towers to 1, 6 kills to 1. Let's roll the clip out. And you'll notice Svenskeren and Jezz, they start off by trying to make a pick on Coutard. But it backfires, and Jezz is bailing out. What we noticed in the sounds of the game, though, is SK were very clear. Freddy just said, I'm teleporting. The next call came in from Candypan saying, I'm coming from the right. And from there, it was just super clear communication on SK's side. They knew they had the numbers, they knew they had the support, and they knew they were strong enough to win this fight. So they just run down Copenhagen Wolves. I personally was very impressed by just the decision making. Jezz was bailing out. He's like, look, I'm sorry, Sven, you've been caught. And one call later from Freddy just saying, I'm teleporting in. And instantly, Jezz goes back in. That fight started with like a 2v4. But because of communication and because of how far the SK were ahead, that they'd accrued themselves the safety net, they won it convincingly. And that was every single fight from that point.
I think that's like a really important thing about SK Gaming that a lot of teams don't have. We sometimes listen to the sounds of the game and it's 5 guys screaming over the top of each other trying to figure out who they're going to go for next. And as you said, calm, collected. You don't need to scream at those points. You only need to say what you're going to do at the right point to get it effective. And that's what I think a lot of teams need to work on when it comes to communication, is to be clear and be calm, mostly.
Yeah, absolutely. SK Gaming showing the competition what they are made of. And speaking of competition, things are heating up as QuickShot's Vuvuzela lovers are taking on Joe's Banana Kings this week in the Fantasy LCS. As a reminder, you can build your own squad of League of Legends pro players and take a team to victory. Fantasy LCS allows you to assemble a dream team from European and North American players to compete in a league every week. Head to fantasy.lolesports.com where you'll find everything you need to know about creating a league, drafting players, and chasing wins as you earn points based on how your players perform in the actual LCS every week.
So just for the record, the majority of my team is European, so I'm currently kicking Banana Lovers' butts. And Jezz just scored me a boatload of points, so thanks, bro.
And I've got 1/3 of his points already, and I've only got 1
that was before Jezz's. That was before Jezz's, so I'm way ahead.
Wait till North America starts.
Didn't you kind of forget that you could pick North American players?
I'm thematic, okay? I'm thematic, maybe.
All right, well, the players are ready for our next match, so let's send it over to D-Man and Deficio.